Welcome to the Sleep Sense Show. As always, brought to you by the Sleep Sense program, where podcast listeners can get a free customized sleep plan by going to www.sleepsense.net/listen.
Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to today's show. I get a lot of pushback from people who say that you can't breastfeed and sleep teach your baby at the same time, or that because a baby is exclusively breastfed, that they couldn't at all in any way, shape, or form be able to sleep all night without food. So I'm going to dive a little deeper into that today, and let's decide if it's a fact or a fiction that babies who are breastfed can't sleep through the night. Now, if you know me and you've listened to any of my podcasts, I have a podcast where I talk at great length about my experience breastfeeding my children. And I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm an expert or that I even had very good success nursing my own children, because the truth is that I did not. However, I have been in this business now for 14 years, and I have taught a lot of exclusively breastfed babies to sleep all night. So in that area, I definitely am an expert. So let's get down to business here with this. Now, let's first look at the difference between breast milk and formula. Now, as far as actually sticking around in the tummy or keeping a baby full, the truth is that there's really only about an hour of difference. So, for example, if you were nursing your baby and they were taking in a full feed via breast, they can usually last somewhere between 2.5 to 3 hours before they're hungry again and are looking for another feeding. Now, if you take that same baby and were to offer them formula from a bottle, the same quantity, they would last about 4 hours. So it really is just 1 hour of extra time that formula sticks around. So if you've got a formula-fed baby, I can promise you, if they don't have good sleep skills, they're not sleeping through the night without feeds either. So there's nothing magical about formula. It is not cement. It doesn't stay in the belly for the entirety of the night. So that's the myth busted right there, that this is not a matter of, breast milk not lasting long enough. It's real. There's not much difference really between the two. So then let's look deeper at why people think that there's some truth to that. I don't actually know why they think that breastfed babies can't sleep through the night, but I think that is sort of the common theme, that there's something about breast milk that just doesn't last long enough. But I'm here to tell you, unless we're talking about newborns, which we won't for the sake of this conversation, newborn babies, obviously people will need to wake frequently through the night to feed. I would never suggest otherwise. But let's talk about older babies now, sort of the 6-month and up age range, who are gaining weight well, meeting their milestones, totally healthy little people, and are still waking in the night looking for feedings. That has nothing to do with food any longer. And I think that is a common misconception, that sleeping well through the night has anything to do with food. It just really doesn't. Again, past this age, it just doesn't. It's all about strategy. So if your baby is prop dependent on nursing to sleep, or even bottle feeding to sleep, which is a close second, but if they're prop dependent on nursing to sleep, then that's what they're looking for in the night. And the food is just a nice side benefit. It's just a nice perk, really. It's the actual act of suckling at the breast that helps them get back to sleep. So let's look at that deeper. So when you think about going to sleep at night, I like to think of it as a journey. It's not as simple as, flicking off a light switch in your brain and going to sleep. It's a process. So getting ourselves ready for bed is part of that process. The little routines we incorporate into that are part of the process. Where, which side we get into, what needs to be present, maybe your earplugs or a glass of water, the window open just so, whatever it is, these are the strategies that you've collected along the way that help you transition or make that journey easier. And that's why we don't like a lot of change. You wouldn't sleep as great if you're in a strange bed and you're on a different side of the room and your pillow is different and all the things are different, right? Anytime something's different, it causes us a little bit of anxiety, and that makes it harder for us to sleep well. So we're very, very much creatures of habit when it comes to our sleep in particular. And so when you climb into bed, even the things we do once we're there, you might start out, having a cuddle with your partner or relaxing on your back until you're feeling ready to sleep. And then we turn into our favorite sleeping position. And that's when our journey has begun. So what happens to babies then? They start making this journey with external help. Common types of external help would be obviously nursing to sleep, bottle feeding to sleep, rocking to sleep, or being held. Those are the sort of top 4 common ways in which babies sort of externally get assistance in falling to sleep or making that journey. So if that happens repetitively, week after week, month after month, now it's a habit. Right? Now, the only way I think I fall asleep is if I have something in my mouth, or I have a breast in my mouth, or a bottle, or I'm being rocked, or whatever it is. So that every time I have a naturally occurring wake up in the night, I'm going to need that assistance again. I don't have any independent skills. They're not internalized. They're all externally based. So babies will cry, mom will think it's hunger and come in and feed baby, and baby will feed. And then baby will fall back to sleep there, and then you transfer baby to the crib. And even if your baby does take a full feed, that can be a little tricky sometimes too, because you're thinking, well, if she wasn't legitimately hungry, she would just, fool around there for a few minutes and then get herself right back to sleep again. And that's true in some cases, but some babies really will take a full feed. And so that's a bit confusing, I agree. But think of it this way. If you woke up in the middle of the night and your partner was sitting beside you with your very favorite meal, you would thank your partner and sit up and probably eat every bite. And you would do that as many nights as the partner offered it, and you would eat your favorite meal and go back to sleep. And then you might actually even become a bit accustomed to that. So you might start waking, the few minutes before he or she is coming in to offer the meal and feel like, my stomach's a little bit grumbly. Maybe I do need to eat this meal. But the truth is, we don't, right? No one needs to be eating a meal in the middle of the night. But we would, right? We would. We absolutely eat all the time when we're not hungry and don't need to. So that can become the problem with older babies, is that they're just sort of habitually taking in the feed because it's being offered and their prop is there. They get the nursing back to sleep portion fulfilled, and so they take the extra little perk of getting in some calories as well while they're there. So that is very much what happens for a lot of babies. So have a good look at that. If you suspect, or you're having a good look at it tonight and realize that yes, 99% of the time your baby is falling asleep at the breast, is waking sort of habitually at night for feeds, then I would first stop, look at bedtime and start making some changes there to teach your baby to fall asleep without the breastfeeding. And now you don't even have to worry. Again, this is a misconception about sleep training, is that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? If you wanted to keep a nighttime feed and see how things go for the first week, you could absolutely do that. I do that often with clients. If mom's not quite ready, we just kind of give it a week or two and see if the feeds naturally wean out on their own. And a lot of the time they absolutely do, because remember, this isn't a food issue. This is a prop issue, and that's the big difference. So sometimes I hear too this idea that if I fed my baby solids, or if I filled a bottle full of breast milk, formula, oatmeal, rice cereal, I don't know, whatever you think is going to fill up this tummy. But I do hear that a lot, that people are starting to offer their babies solids before they're ready. in the hopes that that will mean that they will sleep longer. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. And it's actually not a great idea to start feeding your baby solids foods before their body's ready for it. And the recommendations around that are somewhere between the 5th and 6th month. So not really before. Again, there's exceptions to that rule, but certainly you don't want to be giving really young babies solids before they're ready for it. And again, when you think about what I just spoke about, it often has nothing to do with food. It's all about strategy. It's all about how do I get myself to sleep? What needs to be present or happening in order for sleep to come? And if it's food related, then yes, I agree. It kind of gets a little bit muddy because they like the sucking motion, and again, the food is a nice perk. So you really have to look at it's really all about, there's no way to cut around it or cut through it or reinvent the wheel here. The issue is strategy. So it all comes down to, how does your baby fall asleep? That's always the first place I'll look if I'm about to help somebody, is tell me how they fall asleep. What has to be happening in order for this baby to fall or start their journey? So that's another myth busted right there. Formula feeding or offering solids too early is not a good way to get your baby to sleep longer or through the night. And the last point I want to speak about, and I get pushback from a lot of lactation consultants out there. I also get a lot of support from lactation consultants out there, so I don't want to say they all fall into the same boat. But the pushback that I do get, if it shows up, is somehow that I'm discouraging the nursing relationship. And again, I didn't have a good relationship, but I want every other mom to. I would love it if every other mom had a beautiful nursing experience. That would make me very, very happy. And so, when I look at it objectively, I really feel like helping moms get off to a great sleep start with their baby actually enhances the nursing relationship. When I think about my scenario, one of the things that led me to dislike it so much was the fact that I didn't understand my baby's sleep needs at the time. So every time he was fussy or grouchy, I automatically assumed it was food related. And everyone does, right? Even strangers will ask you if your baby's hungry the minute they turn fussy. And so I was constantly feeding this child who half of the time was fatigued, not hungry, but I didn't know any better. And so that started planting seeds of doubt in my head that I obviously don't have enough milk. My supply's not high enough because he's hungry every hour and a half around the clock. And so two things were happening. I was doubting my abilities, my physical ability to make enough milk for this child, and I was also getting exhausted, right? Nursing a baby every hour and a half around a 24-hour clock is exhausting. There is no way around it. And the weeks of that just add up, and I'm getting depressed and discouraged and you name it. I mean, that's what's happening. So by teaching a mom the difference, and it's not always easy to tell. And again, I'm never saying don't feed a hungry baby. I'm just encouraging them to also think about fatigue, right? A hungry baby and a fatigued baby look a lot alike. Right? They're getting fussy, they're getting grouchy, they're back arching, they're twisting, they're turning their heads into your shoulder to try to get away from stimulation. That looks like rooting. All of these things look a lot like hunger. So it's an easy sign to miss. And so when I come in and teach a parent, I love to get moms with newborn babies because I can just give them a few pointers, really, about also thinking about fatigue, noticing that a newborn baby really only has about 45 minutes of stamina before they're going to need some sort of sleep again, and just giving them that little nugget of information often makes a big difference. And if we can help moms get the rest that they need and the breaks that they need between nursing sessions, can you see how that's going to lead to a happier, healthier relationship with nursing because she's rested, she's not doubting her supply, she's knowing that her baby's getting enough. And I feel like that's a win-win for everyone. We also know that rested moms, and please, as if we're getting good quality rest when we have a newborn baby in the house, there's just no way that's happening. But if we're giving her breaks and we're getting her as much sleep as we can possibly get her, she's going to be able to keep those emotions regulated, to keep sort of depression at an arm's reach. You keep those mood stabler so that, again, she can tackle what for some people is a very difficult task, developing good nursing skills, but this will give her the ability to make that a little bit easier. So, I would talk about this all day with anyone who said that I'm discouraged, I'm discouraging the nursing relationship in no way, shape, or form. None of my sleep consultants would ever discourage nursing. And we're only encouraging babies to start sleeping through the night when they're ready. But we're looking at the how, right? How does this baby fall asleep? If it's always at the breast, then that's the issue and we have to address it. We have to teach this baby to eat, absolutely, but stay awake while they eat so that when they get to the crib or the bassinet, they can learn some ways of making that journey and getting themselves to sleep independently. And that, people, I'm telling you, is a fabulous gift to give your child. Those independent sleep skills, they will last a lifetime. Thanks so much for watching today or listening today. Sleep well.
Thanks so much for listening. For more great tips on helping your child sleep through the night, remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes or Stitcher, and never miss an episode.